Are you a medical school dean, advisor, or learning specialist trying to help your first and second year med students unlock their learning so that they can survive or even thrive in the first years of med school? Are you stumped trying to figure out how to help your 5, 10, or 15 most struggling students? I'm talking about your at-risk med students in the didactic classroom years, the ones who have failed and plan on repeating first or second year, the ones who are considering withdrawing, the ones who are still passing but are at risk of drowning under the fire hose of what we call the speed volume density equation of learning in medical school. I created STATMed Learning back in 2012 because I realized no one was teaching these at-risk medical students how they need to actually learn in med school. Many of these students have the aptitude and desire to become successful physicians, but they lack the proper skills. We can all agree that methodology matters in most walks of life, and it's absolutely true with learning in medical school. These are skills that can be taught, and yes, I know, most med students will be fine. We call these green light students. And many more might struggle here and there, but can be helped by advisors with tips and tricks or using the school's learning specialists. We call these yellow light students. But what about your red light students? The ones who fail and repeat the first or second year, or the ones who cannot figure out what works best for them study-wise. And maybe that you cannot figure out how to help, and this includes the ones with ADHD who need structure-centric learning strategies. These students might say things like, number one, my old study methods won't work in med school. This might mean cramming or spending more time than their peers or passive rereading or condensing their notes or relying on study groups, among other things. Number two, they might say, things my peers are doing, like Anki or practice questions, don't work for me. What should I do? This is something low structure builders say, like those with ADHD among others. These are known patterns we can fix by flipping the approach to fit their learning needs. Number three, maybe they say, I can't pick out what's important. I've heard this one for over a decade, and while it is a fair complaint, we can address this by overhauling their whole approach to studying. Number four, perhaps they say, no single concept is that hard, I just don't have time because there is so much to master and is coming at me so fast. This means we have to cut out all the low yield study activities, the illusions of productivity, the traps of familiarity, and get them operating using aggressive muscular learning strategies that get to the heart of actual learning, starting with structure building, then reading one time in an efficient manner, and then getting to retrieval practice, while also offloading, planning, and tracking activities to free up processing bandwidth, among other things. Number five, maybe they cite underlying problems with something like reading or learning or ADHD. Again, since we understand these patterns, we have already built the strategies to offset them. The bottom line is this: these are the students I built our STATMed class to help. STATMed is not for every med student. It isn't for the gunners. It's not a one-size-fits-all platform for all students. We're not teaching content, AKA the what of medical education. Instead, we are teaching the how, teaching them how to study, how to maximize their time and offload cognitive burden and build workflow, and how to show what they know on boards style exams like the USMLE or COMLEX. Starting in the classroom years, regardless of your curricular design, from traditional lecture-based learning to flipped classrooms to systems-based learning to independent study to TBL or PBL structures. Frankly, we are awesome at this, and it puts the learners in control of their outcomes, giving them agency and the ability to unlock their potential on their own. I'm not saying it's a magic pill or anything silly like that. It is extremely methodological, and I cannot promise it will work for every student. That would be a ridiculous claim. But our intensive 10-day STATMed class will give them their best shot at being able to successfully run the gauntlet of med school to ultimately passing their boards. And we do this following a rigid scope and sequence using authentic med school and boards relevant material to teach each skill, teaching each skill in isolation, then combining them into a sequence that works for each learner. The biggest trick is this: they cannot take the STATMed class while currently being enrolled in your med school classes. That would be like trying to change the tire on a moving car. We can intervene between semesters, likely in the summer, maybe in December, and certainly between when a student takes a leave of absence, likely after failing first or second year, when they're in that limbo state, waiting to restart the year to repeat. To me, every repeating student in the classroom years should at least consider the STATMed class before repeating, since the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. The class lets them return with an all new, all different set of skills, plus the awareness of what they need to do to succeed. And yes, I know most med schools have on-site learning support specialists. I'm not suggesting STATMed replace them at all. Rather, I recommend thinking of us as a valuable resource for a few of your students in every class. While the learning specialists can help many yellow light students and some red lighters, we can then be used for those red light students who need more comprehensive end-to-end solutions. I think of the on-site learning specialists like, say, your kid's pediatrician. Most kids will be fine going to their local pediatrician, of course, as well they should. But every now and then a kid might need to be referred to a specialist like pediatric cardiologist, or maybe even sent somewhere out of the city or out of the state to like Cincinnati Children's Hospital if the need warrants. We can be that type of valuable resource for a certain subset of your struggling and repeating first or second year med students. So please feel free to explore our site to learn more, or share our information with your students and team members, or contact me to set a time for an informal talk where I will gladly answer your questions and better convey how we could help some of your medical students. Thanks for your time.